going on, 5th grade? What's going on? Welcome. We are on day number, well, I can tell you what, we're talking about reflexive nouns today. I believe we're on day number 5. Before we even get into what a reflexive noun is, we've got a warm-up. So, here's your warm-up. This is really similar to what you've been doing. Number 1 is simple. Pick between me and I in this sentence. You may have seen this before. That's because it's the same number 1 as before, but I want to make sure you're paying attention. 2 and 3 are different though. In 2, it says, John and Tanya look hungry. Give them more food. Notice that them is circled. I want you to tell me the antecedent of the word them. Again, what is them referring to? In this case, there is more than one antecedent because them is referring to more than one person. And then finally, the true winners of the race were blank. You have a choice between them and they. So choose between those. Please go through right now and go through this warm-up either out loud in your head. You can do it on paper if you want, but really just go through and see if you're comfortable answering these questions. Pause. Alrighty, welcome back. Let's go over these, why don't we? My friend and blank play soccer. My idea of how to do this well is to look at the blank, you have me and I. Line up these with your verb. Remember that in this sentence, play is the verb, it's the action being done. Me play, that doesn't sound right. I play, that does sound right. I'm going to take my white marker and do I. My friend and I play soccer. That's the ticket. Now, John and Tanya look hungry. Give them more food. Your task here is to figure out the antecedent of them. What is them referring to? Well, I'll point my arrow first to John. That's 1. And then second, it goes to Tanya, because that is what them is referring to. When they say them, they're talking about the people they were mentioning before, John and Tanya. So in this case, them has 2 antecedents, which is really cool. Notice sometimes an antecedent can be up to 3 or even sometimes 4 nouns. If you say a whole bunch of names just in order and then have a sentence like this, as in, oh, give them the password. Something like that, that them could have all 4 of those names as their antecedent. Pretty cool. Next, 3, the true winners of the race were blank. Now this one is a little weird. You have to pick between them and they, and this isn't like the last one, like number 1, where you can just find you can't just find where the verb is and where the noun or and where the pronoun is, and then match them up. You can't really do that, but I still have a way that you can figure this out. So let's get rid of a little bit of these kind of clutter words. The winners were blank. The winners were blank. Now let's reverse that. Them were the winners. Them were the winners? No, that quite makes any sense. They were the winners. They were the winners. Now that one sounds actually completely right, and that's because it is. Notice, all that I did there, and I did it a little fast, I'm going to go through it just once more. All I did was, I got both of my options and I went backwards. I haven't actually discussed that strategy with you before, but I went backwards to figure that out. Not were they, were them, you can't really tell that way, but flip that. They were. Them were. We know that when it comes to that, the correct one there is going to be they. So the true winners of the race were they. And I know saying that out loud kind of sounds weird, but it actually is grammatically correct. And us doing it backwards is proof that that is indeed correct. So that's the warm-up. Now on to the fun stuff, the new and improved stuff. So we are talking about today something that's a little weird, in my opinion, in pronouns, but it's definitely something that has to be covered, most definitely. It's pretty short today. That is reflexive pronouns. Again, reflexive pronouns. In our book, it says that a reflexive pronoun refers to a noun or another pronoun and indicates that it's the same person. So what that means is we should look at the example to see what that means. The woman found herself a book of folk tales. Herself in this case is the reflexive pronoun. I'll tell you why. The woman found herself. Herself is still referring to the woman. What makes reflexive pronouns distinct is they have the word self or selves in the pronoun. And again, I'm not saying that self and selves are pronouns. I'm saying that reflexive pronouns have the word self or sometimes selves. Themselves, themself, herself, himself. Those kinds of words are reflexive pronouns. Let's take a look. You got a couple of examples here. These are the ones that are talking about one person. Myself, yourself, him, her, itself. Those are reflexive pronouns, and the way that you know is because self, 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 self. All about the self. Plural. Same thing, except self turns into selves. You have ourselves, yourselves, themselves. All right, now, wait, Mr. Julie, where's the him, her, and it? Himselves? That's actually not a word, that's why. But yeah, you don't use these in a plural form, but you do use these. Interesting, right? Now, sometimes his self is mistakenly used for himself, and their selves for themselves. So all that's saying is these, and I can actually write this, you want to be really careful when using your himself pronoun. Do not use his self. It's not a word. And also, do not use their selves. That is also not a word. You want to be using themselves and himself. Again, very, very simple. Again, the circle ones are the ones I want you to use. And the ones that are X'd out, of course, you don't want to get necessarily switched up on that, because even though those kind of sound like words, that's his self and their selves, they're not words. So very, very, very important to be careful when doing that. So get rid of that. So that concludes what a reflexive pronoun is. Again, all it is it's just simply a pronoun that's going to have self, 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 or selves. And like you saw in the example, they're going to refer to a noun or a pronoun sometimes that was just in the sentence. The woman found herself. Again, where does herself belong? It refers back to woman. On your Google Forms assignment today, you're going to find, I believe it's 3 or 4 questions that have you go through and identify the reflexive pronoun. Don't go through and identify all the pronouns. I just want you to look for the self pronouns. Herself, himself, their selves. Got me? All right, well, this has been Mr. Dooley. Hope we're having a great day today, and I will see you guys in the next video.